Hi, I'm Caryn Anthony, and I am the author of Any Way the Wind Blows, a blog for families that have a child with a medical condition. And I'm also the chair of the Patient and Family Advisory Council at Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C. My son, Robbie, in 2012 was 16. He was away on a trip in Colorado and was found to have some symptoms that were dangerous, and they thought and were confirmed that he had blood clots in his lungs and in his leg. When we eventually got him stabilized and back home, we discovered that he had a autoimmune illness. That means that he spun blood clots into his body kind of in an uncontrollable way. This was usually meant to be an autoimmune illness, a chronic illness that's treated pretty easily. Over the course of the next year or so, it started to become more of a problem, and he had a few hospitalizations, but it was mostly under control. So he went off to college in 2014. He went to Temple University, and that was a little nerve-wracking because he'd had some serious issues, but we're excited for him to have his independent life. While he was there, though, his illness really accelerated and became much more dangerous. He was hospitalized multiple times with successively more dangerous outcomes. And he eventually started chemotherapy and more rigorous kinds of treatment and needed to come home as it became dangerous. The doctors really never were able to get their arms around anything. This was an illness that they kept trying the next thing. And he got sicker, and he had more lung damage, and he had more clots throughout the body that were uncontrolled. And he died in July of 2016 of a massive clot to his lungs. You get through it because you have to. He needed me, my family needed me. So I learned as much as I could about what was going on, and I got deeply engaged in understanding who he's working with so that we could advocate for what was going to be best for him. And I most importantly learned to work with my son about what he most needed and what he wanted his life to be like, so that he could have as much autonomy and as much independence as he could, so that we became a team to work through this together. And that was when it was a chronic illness and not a big deal, and that was when it was very serious, and that was when it eventually became hospice care. It really was important, because he was 20 when he died, to know that we were doing everything we could, but that we were doing it in a way that was respectful for him. What I wanted to happen and what really needed to happen are sometimes not the same thing. And that, I think, is a similar dynamic that any parent of a young adult has. You want so much for your child, but some of that is your own feelings and your own wishes and your own pictures and dreams for that child. And figuring out what's best for them is knowing who they are. So my learning for that was just kind of the dial turned up in intensity of, how do I give him and allow him to have the life that he most wants? And what that required of me was stepping back whenever possible, of letting him be in charge and letting him feel that I trusted him and that his life and his choices were most important. This is actually hard. So if it feels hard, it's because it is hard. It's scary to watch someone you love struggle and to go through something dangerous. You have the right to be part of the decision making. You have the right to question the experts, because you know best about what your child needs, about what your family needs. You should be partnering with other people. And you should try and take care of yourself whenever possible. Sometimes the best you can do is say, I'm just not going to do the laundry, and I'm not going to cook dinner tonight, and I'm going to give myself a break. And that's okay. The idea that what you're doing is actually hard, and that's why the struggle is there, is important to kind of keep in mind. It's not easy. That's why it feels so hard. And you shouldn't feel like you're supposed to know all the answers. you can only deal with what's right in front of you, and worrying too much about what might happen and all those possibilities and things that you can't control is not going to help.